Navigating the web without a mouse can sometimes feel like a bit of a challenge, but Apple's VoiceOver has a really powerful feature called the rotor that's designed to make it a whole lot smoother. In this guide, we're going to walk through exactly how to set it up and use it to browse websites with some real speed and precision. Everything we're about to cover is laid out right here in this one illustration. We're actually going to use it as our map, zooming in to explore each step in detail. So think of this as a visual tour of the entire process, from the initial setup all the way to putting it into practice. We're going to break this down into two main parts. First up is the one-time setup. This is where you'll tell the rotor which types of content on a web page you actually want to be able to jump between. To get started, you'll need to head into your settings. The path you want to follow is Settings, then into Accessibility, then find VoiceOver, and from there, look for the Web Rotor option. This is your command center for customizing its behavior. So once you're inside that Web Rotor menu, you'll see a list of different element categories. Your next step is simply to choose which ones you want the rotor to recognize. This is how you build your own personal navigation menu. Let's start with what are called active elements. These are pretty much all the interactive parts of a web page. Things you can click or type into or activate. For a solid starting point, we really suggest enabling links, form controls, and buttons. And then you've got passive elements. Now these aren't interactive, but they are absolutely crucial for understanding a page's structure and its layout. If you enable landmarks and headings, it allows you to quickly jump between the major sections of a page, which is super helpful. And just like that, the setup is actually complete. Pretty easy, right? So now for the second part, actually using the rotor to navigate. Let's move on to the controls and see how this all works. All right, to open or close the rotor menu, you'll use the VoiceOver modifier key. That's usually either caps lock or Control and Option, held down together, plus the U key. We'll just call this VO plus U. This is what brings up that list of categories you just set up. Now, with the rotor open, your left and right arrow keys basically act like a dial. You just press them to turn the rotor and switch between the categories you enabled. So you can flick from headings to links, for example. Once you've selected a category, you then use the up and down arrow keys to move through all the elements of that type on the page. So if you're on headings, pressing the down arrow will just jump you from one heading to the very next one. Here's a useful little shortcut for you. To jump directly to the very first item in whatever category you've chosen, say the first link on the page, just press the function key, that's FN, plus the left arrow. And you guessed it, to jump to the very last element in that category, the command is function plus the right arrow key. This is great for quickly getting to things like footers or maybe the final button on a page. Okay, so once your focus is on the element you want, it's time to actually do something with it. To click a link or press a button or interact with a form, you just use the command VO plus the spacebar. And there you have it. That is the complete workflow, all in one view. It's really just a two-phase process. First, you set up your categories, and then you operate the rotor to navigate through them. So you now have the complete map for navigating the web with the VoiceOver rotor. Honestly, the best way to master it is just to start using it. So the only question left is, what website will you explore first?